Hello everybody and welcome to Jurassic World Evolution. Now this is going to be a live commentary gameplay video as I'm working on my review at the moment, and just in the off chance that I don't get it done by the end of the week, I thought it'd be good to have a little gameplay video out as this game is extremely divisive. We've seen some 4s, we're seeing some 10s, we've got mixed reviews on Steam, the game is ups and downs, highs and lows, and we don't know who to turn to trust for an honest game review and discussion. You can always trust Republic of Play, of course. I heard you all say it out there all at once. You all shouted on screen. Comments below, I know, are saying, Republic of Play, where is the honest review? And it's on the way. It's on the way. But for now, we're going to talk through the gameplay mechanics and all of that stuff and let you guys know and make your own minds up whether or not you think this is something for you. So I want to say, just to kind of summarize my experience with this game, so far, I am actually quite enjoying it, but I don't think it's that good of a game, and we're going to get into why. So let's go with the premise. Let's start off small and simple and get into it. So, for those who are unfamiliar, Jurassic World Evolution is made by the guys that make Planet Coaster. It is a theme park management game set in the universe of Jurassic World films and books and all of that stuff. And what you have to do is basically harbor and hold and enclose a certain amount of dinosaurs, get people into your park to come look at them and pay to look at them. And then you're also incubating dinosaurs and creating them there as well. So you're not just looking after them, you're also making them and then designing your park to facilitate that. And keeping everyone safe, of course. You don't want anything going wrong in a Jurassic Park game. No, no, no. Alright, so the way we do this, we have to... Let's roll back, slow down, and start with the basics. Just to give you an indication of what we're doing here, the game is split into a campaign of 5 islands. We're on Island 2 at the moment. I have progressed onto Island 4, and we'll look at Island 3 a little bit later in a feature save, just to show you guys a little bit more dinosaurs, a little bit more that's going on. But for now, I want to start off a little bit more basic. This is around 10 hours into the game, this save file. And I can kind of explain what we're doing. So to get dinosaurs in and create dinosaurs, we need to go find fossils so that we can build up their genome. And the way we go find fossils is we access the Expedition Center. So the Expedition Center gives us this lovely view of the globe, and we get to choose where on it we want to go find certain types of dinosaur fossils. So I know that I'm looking for an Ankylosaurus. There's apparently some Ankylosaurus here at the Hell Creek Formation in USA, and we just left click that, 75,000 gets deducted from our income, and away we go. We'll see a little helicopter take off from the pad and go out towards that expedition. That is what you do an expedition. You don't never gets more complicated than that. I guess the only more complicated it gets is sometimes you have 2 or 3 going at the same time. That's it. It's just a left click job. Now, here's one we've prepared earlier, some fossils in our fossil center. This is what gets returned. When that helicopter returns after a couple minutes, we see any number of types of fossils and things from that location. So one, for instance, we got was some silver. There's no fossil here, no dinosaur, so you can only sell it. It's great income. Remember, that one cost us 75,000 to send it off, and we just got 120,000 from one little thing. So it paid for itself, and it basically paid for the next one. Then we have the Corythosaurus fossil. It's a medium quality fossil. They go up to 4-star or just to 1-star. And that basically is going to affect the amount of genome data that we can extract from it, DNA data that we can extract from it to build our Corythosaurus genome. So our genome is currently sitting at 20%. If we get it up to 50%, then we can make a dinosaur of this type. And if we get it up to 100%, then we make a 100% authentic dinosaur. If it's not 100% authentic, it means that it might die a little bit earlier than it should, you know, might not live as long, it might get more sick, and it's not going to attract as big a crowd because people know it's not fully there, mentally, let's say. So that's kind of how that situation works. So you just have to keep going like this. I'll extract. This will build it up over time. When it's done processing it, then we go out and get more, and until we get up to 50, we can't make any. Here's a different situation though. We've actually got quite a few of this one, the Struthiomimus fossil. We'll extract the DNA there. It's up to 93. We've almost got a full genome mapped for that one. And then we can have, once that's all done or whatever, we can then go back and build a dinosaur and create one in the Hammond Creation Labs. Now we can place these around the park, and we'll get to the building kind of aspects a little bit later. So if we go incubate dinosaur, here's our Struthiomimus. It's still on 93% until that genome processing thing finishes, but that's pretty good, and all we'd have to do then is click incubate. Now before we do any of that, we don't really need to create one right now, here's a list of the dinosaurs. So there's 42 dinosaurs that we can access. We've got 10 unlocked to us at this current time in the save file. I've got 20 in my later save file that we can have a look at. Velociraptor would be one you might recognize, or the Dilophosaurus. So there's some pretty cool looking dinosaurs, and you get some nice ones early on, some ones that you might recognize from the films. And a T-Rex honestly doesn't take that long to get. You probably get it after about 15, maybe 20 hours of gameplay. And then it seems like that's like halfway through the game, basically. So here's a bunch of information that you can kind of check out to do with these dinosaurs. So you'll notice some of these have DNA strands behind them, and that's because you can actually modify their genome. So if you want to go and do this, you can. You don't have to, but if you ever do want to go do this, you can change their rating, and their rating is what's going to attract visitors to the park. If you've got a dinosaur with a really high rating, they're going to be like, whoa, like, let's check this out. This is really cool. So these can be anything from changing the skin, which is the only visual upgrade I think that they get, and then the rest are all statistical upgrades, like maybe it might change its attack, its defense, whatever it might be. And that should typically also change the rating. It doesn't always, but it should make it more interesting for visitors to see. So if we modify, let's say, the Velociraptor, for instance, we can say, okay, I want an alpine Velociraptor. We want it to have certain amounts of resilience. Now, the more defense and resilience that it has to different things, it's actually, the trade-off is viability. So its viability means that basically if we're trying to incubate one, there's a chance that it might not work out. So you want its viability to be high, because you might end up paying $500,000 to incubate a dinosaur, and then it just doesn't even make it out, which would be, you know, pretty bad for your money. So that's kind of everything that you need to think about there. The other information that you can get by clicking on dinosaurs is checking kind of a little bit about them. They're carnivore or herbivore, maybe where they prefer to stay. Unfortunately, it doesn't really tell you what kind of living conditions they prefer, and we only get to see that when we check them out on the ground. Now, I'm getting all sorts of problems and effects going on now. I'm just going to ignore them for now. It's fine. I would otherwise pause the game, but you can't pause the game, and I think that is such a mystery to me. Why you can't maybe pause, I can understand, but why you can't even speed up is really strange, because often you're just waiting for your income to come up, and it comes up every minute. And there's nothing to do in between that, so sometimes it can get really tedious doing that. Now, you may notice that we have a couple dinosaurs asleep, or tranquilized. That's the tranquilized symbol there. And the reason I've tranquilized a couple of them is because they have a bunch of effects, and the game is all about managing your dinosaurs' needs and requirements, and making sure that they're in an enclosed space and happy with that space that they're in. So this dinosaur, for instance, I don't know if we can click it without zooming all the way in. See, I can't zoom out. That's just the way it is. This dinosaur, for instance, the reason I put it asleep is because it was in an area where there's too much going on for it. There's a lot of population in this area, so its population bar went out of its threshold. The blue thresholds is what you want to hit, and the red thresholds you want to avoid. And these are different for different breeds of dinosaur, different types of dinosaur. So these ones, the Dracorex, they like to be in enclosures that have a little bit less going on in them, and maybe just more of their own type, more social with their own type, and that will raise their comfort. And if they're comfortable, they won't look to break out. If they're not, they will try and break out. So that's kind of how the dinosaur management goes. So we can check here, Yvette, like we can see, they like bigger populations. She's totally happy here. She's very comfortable. She's having a great time. Now, she has got a common cold, which we'll have to help her out with. Her health is going down because of that. Now, it's actually quite fun administering medicine to sort out your dinosaurs. Let's see how we'd go about doing that. So we've got a ranger station built over here, 2 cars ready to go. The burrito bandits is what I call them, and we can just drive our vehicle ourselves, or you can automate the task. We can drive our vehicle ourselves over to the enclosure and administer some medicine to these dinosaurs. I actually find it a lot of fun to drive yourself. Often when you're busy and because you can't pause, it might be better to automate it while you're doing other things, but here we can just bring out our dart gun and pop a little medication into that Struthiomimus there, and she's happy. And there we go, medication into her. Her health is going back up. She's getting on just fine. Take a long shot at the one out in the distance there. Nice. And well, yeah, you basically get the idea. So, oh, we got him right in the tail for that one. So that's what you can do to administer medicine. Now, of course, we can just automate this. So if we go add task, we can then maybe find some that are sick. I actually can't find any right here. Oh, it's hiding on me behind the trees. But there we go. Administer task. And that'll do it itself now. Now, you might notice that we've also got a dead dinosaur. This one actually just died of old age. And that's probably where the sickness came from. And we can just access the transport team and just ask for that to be removed. And we're going to actually remove, I think, Cora here, because she just doesn't fit in with where she is right now. And we're going to sell her off. So if you want to move a dinosaur that you just can't fit in an enclosure by themselves, you can sell them off. So this Cora in particular was a bit of an annoying one, just because I think we were given a mission to make her, but she likes to be on her own in her own enclosure, and unfortunately I don't really have that facility right now for her, so we just have to sell her off. So that's pretty much all of that. Now the goal of this little playthrough here, and to explain the end, I basically showed you all of the best bits so far. Dealing with dinosaurs, incubating them, hatching them, even though it is a relatively quick and easy process, that's probably the most fun that you're going to have in the game, especially when reading about the dinosaurs, finding out about the actual historical dig sites, seeing what the dinosaurs require and enclosing them and making sure they're happy. I enjoy that. I think that is the best part of the game, and it's the best looking part of the game as well. The game looks visually stunning, despite the clipping that just happened there, when you're looking at the dinosaurs roam around and keeping them all happy. Now we're going to get into the building aspect. So I want to build an enclosure over here for some of these bigger dinosaurs so that our Dracorexes are happy with the population level. Remember, their population was a little bit too low for what was given them, so we kind of want to keep their population in check and raise it. Sorry, I'm tripping over myself for my words here. Basically, their population, there was too many population in this one enclosure. We're going to try and shift some people from out there to over here, and in that gives me a good kind of example to show you the kind of creation tools and how things go. So I'm going to simply just remove some trees out here. Costs a little bit of money to do that, and then we'll extend our path outwards. And I'll show you the kind of map scale that we have. This is, remember, is Island 2. These islands are very specific, handcrafted. They're not randomly generated. They're the same every time. Alright, so we're making a nice big area over here. So if we have a look here like this, you can kind of see the orange outline. It's pretty faint, but the orange outline is basically where we can build, where we're allowed to build. And that's kind of predefined. And each island is different, but it does feel pretty restrictive. Now, that does two things. It kind of allows for more interesting building, right? If you're kind of constrained, you kind of have to build your thing in a more interesting way. I was kind of hoping, though, just from the premise of the game, that more of the island would be kind of open to, like the whole island kind of thing, or just bigger areas, I guess. Now, the scale of the game is really impressive, the way you can zoom all the way out and zoom all the way in. It looks like this building is actually taking a lot of damage, so we can get our vehicle to come up here and repair that as well. So he'll go up and repair that, no problem. Okay, so let's continue with building over here. So this, like I was going to just say though, the scale is really impressive. The way you can zoom in and zoom out, and the level of detail is really, really good when you zoom in and out. But I do think that the playable kind of area you have tends to be pretty small, even on the biggest island. So I would have liked to see that a little bit bigger. It feels like Planet Coaster might be bigger. I'm always going to be comparing this game just a little bit to Planet Coaster, because that is the same company, the same engine. You know, it's kind of like the foundation I think a lot of people expected this game to be built on. Alright, we've lost power while we're building up there, or while we're repairing that building. For now, let's just get building now. So the building side of this game is extremely poor in comparison to a game like Planet Coaster. There's a very limited amount of tools at your disposal. You have the landscaping tool here, which allows you to have nature, water, and terrain, and that's it. So nature is basically just drop some trees. You can't choose what type of trees, it's just always that type of tree. Same with the shrubs. And then you can just remove it. And that's literally it. This just changes the scale of your circle, or your radius that you paint with. Kind of the same with water, either add or remove. And then terrain, either lower, raise, flatten, or smoothen out terrain. So what we're going to do, terrain is all fine. We're just going to build an enclosure out here. So what we'll need to do really quickly is, first off, I think let's get a path. So we'll just extend our path out this way. And the pathing tools, all these tools, even though while they are extremely limited in terms of what you can kind of really do with them, they are really fluid and easy to use, as is the case with Planet Coaster. So expect, you know, it's just, what's here is really polished in terms of that stuff. It's just there isn't that much there. So we've got our little pathway that goes around. This is a nice area for a good enclosure in here, a nice big sized one. The next thing, like I said, we can't pause the game. So the game's just running and things are happening while we're doing this. So we got to be kind of quick. Which is, to be honest, a little bit tedious for when you just want to build some things. So what we need to do is get viewing galleries. People want to actually see what's going on inside these things. So I always start with the viewing gallery. We'll start with one here. We'll get another one somewhere over here. And we'll get a final one over on the right somewhere. Something like that. That gives us generally pretty good coverage. Not the best, but pretty good. And then we can just connect these up with fences. So like I said, the building tools, really easy and fluid to use. Very dead simple. Ultra simple, some people might say. But extremely user-friendly, that's for sure. So we're just using a light steel fence. We could put on an electric grid, but we're going to only have carnivores in here. And I think this is going to be a nice enough area that nothing's going to go wrong. Famous last words there for Jurassic World, but I'm sure everything's going to be fine. Right, so we haven't connected this up with a path yet. Like I said as well, we've only got 3 types of path, either standard, actually no, only 2, fancy or cheap. Oh no, cheap, normal, and fancy. Okay, so 3 pathways. So we just connect them up pretty simply like that. Now, some people, if you had played Planet Coaster and you might be expecting some more customization, it is a little bit disappointing. I would love to be able to have ground texture paint tools like we had in the old game. You could play, you know, you could put down gravel, you could put down individual trees, torches, props, you know, really make it look like an actual theme park. Whereas this game feels, maybe it's a little bit more true to the films, I guess, where well, I haven't seen the Jurassic World films, but it's kind of more true to the Jurassic Park films, where it is just kind of like enclosures that people can walk around. But I think it would have been cool to really go take it to the next level and let's go full on theme park. I mean, you can build a hotel and you can build like food and burger joints and stuff. So it kind of feels like maybe a bit more was in order in that regard. Because it feels like after a while, you're just like, oh, I'm just laying like really boring. Like the place looks kind of boring. Outside of the enclosures. Inside the enclosures is fun and cool looking, I guess. Right, so the last thing we need to do is add down some power. So we need substations for that. So we'll just place 3 separate substations, and that kind of yellow-green radius is kind of the reach of the power on these substations. And we're having a tropical storm right now, which doesn't really do anything, despite it looks amazing, but as you'll see, people don't really care about it. You know, maybe they look a little bit more huddled up and they're being blown around a bit, but it doesn't affect anything. They don't have to go inside or anything like that. Everything's fine. And dinosaurs don't, like, wake up or anything for it. I think we had another dead dinosaur here. Might be the one I left on the ground. Oh well. I'm really just showing this off for demonstrative purposes, and then we'll look at a more advanced island in just a little bit of time. So we've got this all hooked up. We just need to hook the power up now, finally. So we'll just extend some pylons out this way and hook up these pylons as well. Boom. And then connect this all up, and then we're pretty much done. Okay, beautiful. So this area should have power now, or at least very soon. Once we find out what's going on with the power up here. So it looks like this place took, again, more damage and needs to be repaired. And what I can do to actually add more power is just use little upgrades that go on the back of the actual building here. So these are researched through the different research tech trees and stuff. So improved output, 60,000. Improved output again, 60,000. And we can see that this place is going to have improved output. So the storm is over now. We shouldn't be taking any more damage anywhere. Even though power ran out, nothing was really a problem. Everything's fine. Okay, cool. So power shouldn't really be an issue anymore. These are all hooked up. The power is now in place, I think. We've just run out because it's rebuilding the power over there. Okay, so we're almost done with this enclosure. The next thing we want to do is we know that they're going to want some trees. Because there's always certain animals need certain amounts of forest land, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't matter if you block the viewing things at all, but I try not to, just for, I don't know, my mind's sake, I guess. And there we go. We've got a perfect little nice looking enclosure here. And we can put some vegetation down, shrubbery, and that's pretty much it. Now we'll need a little fence for our rangers to get in, or a gateway, and a feeder for feeding the animals inside here. So let's go with just a regular ground herbivore feeder. We'll just build 2. And there we go. So if we have a look at the viewing coverage of this place, you can pretty much see everything. We might do with putting another one out here eventually, or a new type of one. There's a narrow one that you can build, kind of fill that kind of narrow gap. So now we just need to transport dinosaurs over there, right? So we've got a bunch here. This one needs to be woken up, so let's just wake that one up. You can only wake them up by transporting them back to their original spot. And then we need to put all these ones to sleep and move them. And we'll also start incubating new dinosaurs that can be ready to move as well. So we'll get some Triceratops. We'll get a Huangosaurus. And a Chungingosaurus as well. So we're incubating now 3 dinosaurs that are going to be done pretty quickly. And they'll come out here. And what we have to do then to move them is basically tranquilize them and then get a transport helicopter to ferry them over. So I'm going to tranquilize them myself just to show you what this kind of gameplay is like. Again, just like driving the vehicle, this stuff can be pretty fun to do. Although you don't need to do it, but I just like doing it myself because it's kind of fun. And then you just get on the side of it with your little sniper rifle and go boop. These big ones usually take 2. So oh, I missed. Edametosaurus would be good to get. Okay, cool. That should be 2 that can be moved. We want to move a 3rd one. We just want to move the big ones right for now. Alright, that's enough. Now we can click that and actually tell him to do it himself on a few other ones. Just automate it now for now. So now that 2 of them are knocked out, we can move them. So we just left click transport, bring them to the new area, transport, bring them to the new area, and then these helicopters basically just spawn in and we'll deliver them to where they need to go, into these like areas. And then they should be really happy in here, and that will get new viewers in and new guests in to have a look at all that stuff, and everything should be great. So it's as easy as that. Now our expedition should be back. It is. It's probably been back for a while. We can send it on another expedition. Let's just go somewhere else for fun. And then we can have a look at the fossils they return. So again, we've got new ones for the Ankylosaurus, we've got some for the Triceratops, and then we just got 360,000 for platinum that we found that we can sell. So that's not bad as well. So that is basically the gameplay. That is really simple. It is almost like an iPhone game or something where it's like literally just like left click, it goes off, left click, sell, and then it just, you know, you just got to manage the timings yourself. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to queue them up. You can't queue them up. You have to like manually do it, and it's kind of annoying to keep track of. But that's kind of the point of the game, in a way. So we've got a sick dinosaur down here as well. Understood. Now our dinosaurs are ready to come out. We've got the Triceratops ready to go. I love the little cutscene you get when they come out, but after a while it does get a little tiring. But it's always a big moment when you get a brand new dinosaur.
Well done.
Now, what that person was talking about just there was the fact that we completed a mission. Oh, we've actually completed one of the main missions.
I have another opportunity. This one will be a challenge, as it involves a dinosaur in ill health.
Dangerous sounding.
Okay, so we can start this mission. Now these people are obviously from the movies and stuff.
Listen carefully. Did I hear something? Yes. I think that was the sound.
I love Jeff Goldblum. I think he just makes this game really, really enjoyable. So basically, we've taken on a mission. So here's the mission structure of the game. Then this is probably the final thing to touch on. We'll wait for them to stop speaking before we get into it.
I don't know whether he is overly cautious or just looking for the chance to say I told you so. Maybe it's both. Regardless, I think that together we'll get this done.
Okay. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. Let's release our third dinosaur. So we've got these new ones coming out.
So, as I mentioned before, we have a diseased animal coming to the park, and we need to get prepared for it. Let's get to work.
Right, so... Okay.
Did I hear this right? You're bringing a sick dinosaur to our facility?
Yes.
I'm gonna pray you know what you're doing, because I have no idea.
I do know what I'm doing, Cabot. Alright, so basically, here's the mission structure. You go to your control room, and you go to contracts. There's 3 types of contract you can get. You can request a new contract for either science, entertainment, or security. Now, usually getting a contract for one will lower the reputation of the other, so you got to kind of balance it to slowly bring them all up. Now, those are typically just small missions, like incubate a certain dinosaur, research a certain thing, make sure you don't have any power outages for a while. It's very simple stuff. It's whatever. And then once you build this up to a certain amount, you'll then get your island-specific mission. So we just got the island-specific mission for the head of science, which is, hey, we're going to deliver a dinosaur that's sick, and you're going to need to cure it and research the new cure and stuff like that. Now, when we get her reputation up to a certain amount, we'll get an increased dig yield, and that means that when we go on our expeditions, we'll be bringing back more fossils. And speaking of fossils, we just got some back right now, so we just got a few new ones. So we're not going to bother with that. You guys know all about that now. So that's pretty much it. We'll wait for the arrival of this dinosaur because it's a pretty cool looking one, and then we'll move into one of the later save games that I have and explain anything else that might be left over that I might have missed. But that is basically it. So
science requires not only experimentation but observation.
Okay, here we go.
I like what I see. Keep it up.
So I know that this dinosaur has a really long neck, so it's going to need one of these. A feeder that's like a tall feeder. tall herbivore feeder. So he's coming in and he's sick, and it's going to say ensure the dinosaur can access food and ensure the dinosaur can access water. So there he is, being brought in, or she. They're all female. And then we'll need to go over to our research center, viewer research, and go to not genetic research, but we want to go to medical treatment and probably get one of these when it unlocks in just a second and help it out, prevent it from being sick and prevent the disease from spreading. So that's kind of the mission of this island. It's only one of 3. You get 3 for all different divisions. And that's basically what you're doing in the game. Then the last thing to touch on is the kind of crowd and how people react. So we're going to move islands to talk about that.
We'll need to do research. Let's see if we can identify the extent of the problem and isolate.
Okay, so the nice thing here
My
is...
understanding is that we have a diseased animal in the park, and you and Dr. Dewar are trying to find a cure. I don't approve.
Can't find the cure just yet.
Then, no one asked me. However, I just
The disease has been identified.
Dinosaur away from the rest of our animals, in case whatever it has is contagious.
So it's a pretty looking thing. It's a Diplodocus. And the disease has been identified. Okay, so find the cure. Research the item from the research center, Cryptosporidium parasite, right? And then you just go to your research, simple as medical treatment, boom. It costs a certain amount of money. It takes 2 minutes to be done. So it's very, very simple. Oh, and it actually looks like we've had a breakout here. But it's a carnivore. Now we're not gonna see what's going on here. I'm gonna tease you. We're gonna move islands, and then I'll talk more about the people management, and we'll have a breakout of something quite big. Oh, and I almost forgot. I wanted to mention the sandbox nature of the game. People are asking, can you play sandbox? Do you have to play in the campaign? I think the game is primarily dependent on the campaign, but you do have this sandbox mode if you want. Now, this is unlocked later on through doing a couple of the campaign islands. You'll unlock Isla Nublar, which is basically has an unlimited budget, has a variety of options like weather and disease and time of day. And then you can use all of your currently available assets on Isla Nublar, so it ties into your main game. So if you don't have all the dinosaurs yet, you have to go back into the campaign to unlock them, or disease control, or whatever it might be that you need to unlock. So you will have to play the game to get more stuff for your sandboxy island. Now, I haven't played this yet, but this is the kind of map that we're given. It's pretty large. It's quite different to the other maps in terms of... I say large, it's more open and connected. All the other ones have all these like tight little funnel spots and stuff. It's not actually that big of an island. This is pretty much the whole size of it here. Now, it's not small, but it's medium size. It's fine. And then obviously you can just terrain manipulate all of this stuff for free and change it to a complete blank canvas if you want. Now, my issue with this, and I haven't played it yet, is that you've got unlimited finances, and it doesn't really seem like you've got much else in the way of contracts or missions. I think the contracts, which are the dynamic missions that feed in every now and then, would actually be quite fun to have. I think people just wanted that in an open sandboxy nature. Unfortunately, this seems to be more of like a creative mode almost, where it's like, oh, you've complete freedom to do stuff. So it's not really the sandbox mode I guess I would have been hoping for. Like, I like something like a City Skylines type of sandbox where the game is completely open for you to build however you want, no constraints, no missions, but there is a slight structure of objectives to do, like maybe, you know, you get some contracts, or maybe it's like, hey, have one of each dinosaur or something like that. I think would be quite cool. I don't know. It just seems like having unlimited budget's more of a free-form kind of mode, and I've got no motivation to play this because of that. If I can't unlock new dinosaurs here, then I'm not too sure what the point is if I have to go back into the other modes. So that's kind of it for the sandbox side of things. I'll include this more in my review when I play around with it a bit more in a couple of days. I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, everybody, welcome to Isla Tacaño. Now, this is the third island in the game. We're pretty far along on this one as well. I've done 2 out of the 3 missions. We've almost got it up to a 5-star rating. Not quite yet. Now, this one's a little bit more advanced. We've got Tyrannosaurus Rex here, and we've got much more dinosaurs available to us, which I'll show you guys in just a second. And we've also got Brachiosauruses, and Diplodocus. A couple of those. So that was just like the Diplodocus that we were saving in the last one. Now we can make them ourselves. We've got them out here, and they're super happy. And we've also got these ones, which are pretty cute. The Torosaurus as well. They're actually really small. I really like those ones. Some of my favorites actually are probably just up here. They need lots with them. The it's a hard one to say. Parasaurolophus. So we got a few of them. They like being in large groups together. So we got way more dinosaur variety as you get further into the game. I think now, if we have a look at one of our incubation areas, we've got 20 out of 42, so a lot more uncovered. Only halfway though, and just over halfway through the game. a lot of 100% genomes as well. So my attraction is really high, our dinosaur variety is really high. Now the last thing I want to focus on for this video is the people management aspect of the game, which I think is probably the worst aspect of this game. So far you might be thinking everything I've shown you is like, hey, this looks pretty good. Missions are cool, dinosaur variety is cool, all that stuff seems and looks great, and most of it for the large part is. While we're waiting on that, I'm just going to queue up something here. Oh, we're actually making 4 Tyrannosaurus Rexes there, so that's interesting. What I was going to do was... Well, we'll wait, we'll get there. But okay, essentially, let's talk about the people management. So, I've got a monorail that ships people around. Here's where the people management stuff comes into play. The facility rating. You've got your dinosaur rating, which is really good at the moment. We've got lots of variety, so there's no variety penalty. The welfare is great of all our dinosaurs. Everyone's super happy, and we're just nailing it. Now, if we get up to a 5-star rating, we'll get another unlock. We'll get Coastal, unlocked with a 5-star rating. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a genome type for our, I think, for our dinosaurs, so we can paint them a different color. It's skins, basically. So our facility rating isn't great on this one. I might have to figure out why that is, because everything is actually really good. Transport's high, shopping's decent, and, you know, you got to take care of all these things. So food, drink, fun, shopping, transport. Those are the things that you need people to be happy with. So we've got fast food joints down here, toy shops, arcades, gift shops, and all that stuff. And I built it kind of next to a hotel and in between 2 big enclosures. So this area is like a nice, pretty good, just a pretty good area where everyone's got their needs met, I think. Now, it's kind of a disappointing aspect for me, at least, is stuff like this. The viewing platform, for instance, has about, I don't know, 10 people in it or whatever, taking selfies and so on, even though it says there's like 203 in it. So the people simulation seems to be a little bit like it's lying to you every now and then. Like, there's only 20 people in that. That one probably looks pretty accurate. Not many people are looking at just the one Tyrannosaurus Rex on his own. This one has 184 in it. And then if we have a look down at shops, you know, it says stuff like, let's check out the bowling alley. Bowling alley has 900 people in it. Like, you don't ever really see these people come out or anything. And people tend to travel around in like little blobs of groups. So what I'm going to do is we're going to let out a few dinosaurs and let this place just go to havoc, right? And see how good does it look when everything goes wrong, right? What does the... Everyone wants that to look amazing, right? You want people to be running for their lives and really fearful and stuff like that. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. And then we'll try and contain the threat as well. So I've opened the gate. We've got one out at the moment. He's isolated one, and he's probably going to rip her face off. Alright, so she got wrecked. So that's kind of what you expect. Now, I think in terms of how the crowd is simulated, it's kind of like not that good. I mean, they're just kind of walking around. They get just isolated and get stuck, and little groups of them stop. And then when it picks one that it's going to animate on, that guy just freezes up, and then they jump on them. So it might sound like I'm being overly critical, but I was just a bit disappointed like that is raptors on the loose, T-Rexes on the loose. They don't really run together. They don't really run into crowds. They just kind of like... One or two people just seem to get like isolated, and then they just stand perfectly still and an animation will play out. You know what I mean? It's just... I don't really get the sense of fear I was kind of hoping that you would get in a kind of a really panicky situation like this one. Oh, look, we've got more out here. They don't really knock... Like, I was hoping a T-Rex would run through a crowd and pick people out as they're running. Instead, they just seem to isolate people. These are the ones that actually run through and knock people over because they don't actually eat people. They just bump into them. And there's no music, so it's just a little underwhelming. And this is basically what an outbreak situation looks like. This is kind of the extent of it. So it's not that bad, actually, but it's just not that good. Not that big of a deal either. I think another thing that kind of is underwhelming is, okay, what we can do is activate shelters. So if we open all shelters, sorry about that. Once they're all contained and put back in and we open the shelters, the park basically continues as if it never happened. Now what you will have to do is pay for damages. So you'll have a lawsuit damages for a little while, and then that will just kind of reduce over time. We're still making money. This park is still somehow making money every minute. Even with like T-Rexes on the loose and all hell breaking loose. I just don't really feel like there's that big of a deal right now. Oh, this one's out as well. I don't even know how that one got out. Its gates were probably opened? Oh, I don't know. No idea how that one got out. So that's going to be it for this gameplay video. I know it's quite long, but hopefully that gives you a good sense of what you're doing in Jurassic Park. Like I said, I think the worst parts about this game are just the people management isn't very good. You don't really have anything to do with them. There's basically no customization in terms of what you're building and how you decorate your park or anything like that. Like, I don't feel like this looks like how it should, you know? And over time, the game just kind of feels a little bit tedious, like you're just doing busy work. But I still think the core reward loop of unlocking and gaining new dinosaurs is really fun. You know what? Let's do this. Let's open this stuff up and see if a T-Rex is going to kill a Brachiosaurus. Wow, he's just built up a little pile there for himself. He is looking at him for sure. Alright, this should be interesting. A carnivore versus a T-Rex. I want to see him tear the crap out of this guy. Alright, little jab, little swipe. Down to 45% health. Oh, he hits him right back. Nobody expected it. The horns. Place your bets now, guys. Place your bets now. The defense is... Oh, shit. 1% health. He's on 1%. Oh. Well, there you go. Alright, that's a nice fitting end to the video. That's kind of the best stuff in the game. How the dinosaurs do interact with each other, the fact that they have animations with each other, how you're managing them in enclosures, I actually find that all to be pretty fun. The worst aspects, people management, customization, and, you know, coloring the park up and stuff is really, really lacking. And then as well as that, is the dinosaur to people interaction is kind of a bit shitty, in my opinion. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll have a review coming pretty soon. Oh, by the way, if you liked the video, please consider giving it a like. I'm constantly seeing people saying, oh, you deserve more subs. How does it have so little views? It's all down to you guys. I mean, recommendation and playing the YouTube game isn't really my thing. You know, getting into people's feeds easily and stuff. I need you guys to go out there and recommend me. Link me on video sites or whatever. Not necessarily with this video, but ones you think that are really good. I'd appreciate the help. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.